Hi guys, and welcome to prediction week 37. 1 week to go until the Premier League has finished, and we start with two of the Friday night football fixtures tonight. First of all, we have Everton versus Watford at 7:45. Personally, I think Everton are going to be too strong for Watford. Watford, again, a team that struggled to keep goals out this season and struggled to score a lot of goals. Everton's had quite a good successful season under Ronald Koeman this season, in his first season at Everton. So for the game, I'm going to go Everton 2, Watford 0. And the second one is at 8 o'clock, and it's West Bromwich versus Chelsea. Yes, I know Chelsea can lift the title tonight. I do think Chelsea will win, but I don't think it's as easy as people are making out. Sometimes the excitement and nerves can get to you a little bit when you know that you're 90 minutes away from winning the title. So there might be times in the game where they have a couple of blips, you know, and let themselves down a little bit. It is a Tony's Pulis side, which I've said all year. You know, they're not an easy side to face. So I am going to go for Chelsea to win, but I don't think it's going to be as easy as people are making out. I'm going to go West Bromwich 1, Chelsea 2. And obviously, if Chelsea do win the title tonight, we'll congratulate them next week, and I'll congratulate them tonight in advance if they do win the title. I had a fantastic season under Conte, you know, and as I say, yeah, great response for the fans, you know, after the terrible season they had last year. So if they do end up winning the title tonight, which I think they probably will, so congratulations Chelsea in advance, but we'll definitely do that for official next week. At 12:30 tomorrow, we have Manchester City versus Leicester. Yes, you know, Leicester's again had a bit of a different attitude since their new manager came in. But again, as I said to you a couple of weeks ago, I think Manchester City are at that stage now. It's like we need to stop mucking about now. We need to start getting some results, and the last couple of weeks, you know, they've been doing that. And I think they're going to be too strong for Leicester anyway. I'm going to go Manchester City 3, Leicester 1. We then have Sunderland versus Swansea. First of all, I called it last week. I said Sunderland will win on the weekend because they just got relegated, and I called it. Thank you. And I'm going to go for Sunderland to win again. They're facing Swansea this weekend. Swansea dying to stay up into the Premier League, gasping for points. No pressure on Sunderland, so I'm going to go Sunderland 2, Swansea 0. We then have Bournemouth versus Burnley. Again, Burnley looking for 3 points. Not going to get it off me this weekend. Bournemouth are a very funny side. Haven't really got much to play for now, to be honest. They're just sat mid-table, waiting for the season to end, where Burnley are fighting for points. So again, a nice team, relaxed, relaxed team, should I say, against a fighting team. Yes, we know that's hard. We've looked at that over the years, but I'm going to go Bournemouth 1, Burnley 1. We then have Middlesbrough versus Southampton. Middlesbrough, who's also been relegated from the Premier League. However, I'm not going to give a win to Middlesbrough this weekend. The reason I gave a win to Sunderland last weekend is because they were facing a relegation side, and they're facing a relegation side this weekend. Middlesbrough, on the other hand, are facing Southampton, who I think has had a fantastic season. Arsenal were very lucky to get 3 points out of Southampton on Wednesday night. Yes, it was a much better performance from Arsenal in the second half, but in that first half, Southampton could have found themselves 2 or 3-0 up before half time. So I thought Southampton were very unlucky, actually, not to get 3 points on Wednesday night. They're a very, very, very good side, as I've spoken about Southampton this year. So I'm going to go for Middlesbrough 1, Southampton 2. As I say, you know, I think Southampton are going to be far too strong for Middlesbrough, even though Middlesbrough's got nothing to play for now. I know they've been relegated, but yeah, I think Southampton are going to be far too strong for them. And then at 5:30, we have Stoke versus Arsenal, a place that Arsenal have absolutely hated since 2008. It's the ground where we get booed, where Ramsey gets booed every time he touches the ball. I don't really understand why Ramsey gets booed every time he touches the ball. I mean, at the end of the day, it was Shawcross that broke Aaron Ramsey's leg, but it seems like every time Aaron Ramsey touches the ball, he gets booed out of the building at the Britannia Stadium. I don't really understand why that is, but it is what it is. We know why they boo Arsenal in general, you know, like with Arsene Wenger saying that they're a rugby team. But even then, I'm like, he said that back in 2008 or 2009. I mean, get over it, man. Do you know what I mean? Like, since then you've changed your football. He's actually praised you, you know, over the years, saying how you've changed your football and you actually play football now. But no, they still insist on booing us and holding grudges against us. So it is what it is. We know what we're up against. We know it's going to be a hot crowd. It's kind of like Stoke's cup final whenever time they play us. It's a different Stoke whenever they play us. You know, they go back to the rugby tackles. You know, they put you in headlocks and two-footed challenges, but you know, late challenges, this, that, the other, holding of the shirts. It's always to wind Arsenal up. It's always to wind Wenger up every single year. We know what we're up against. But Arsenal are absolutely dying, you know, to get into the top four. I think this might be the year where they don't get into the top four, but they have to at least fight for it, to tell you the truth. Maybe I'm being a little bit biased here, but I think that this will be the year, because Arsenal are really dying to get into the top four. I think Arsenal are going to nick it. I'm going to go Stoke 0, Arsenal 1. But as I say, I think I might be looking at a little bit biased there, but you know, we'll see. We now go to Sunday's fixtures. At 12 o'clock, we have Crystal Palace versus Hull. Again, Crystal Palace, I've spoken about them. What a massive turnaround for them just after Christmas. Hull again fighting to stay up into the Premier League. I think this might be the weekend they might go down. I'm not sure. They might have a game in hand on Wednesday or Tuesday. I'm not too sure, but I think Hull are in trouble over the rest of the teams that are just above them. I'm not sure though. Don't quote me on that. But I'm going to go for Crystal Palace to win, because again I think Crystal Palace are far too strong for Hull. I'm going to go Crystal Palace 2, Hull 1. At 2:15 we have West Ham versus Liverpool. A lot of people will look at that and say that what a fantastic way for Liverpool's season to end. You know, having West Ham, who have been crap all season, and having Middlesbrough, who's already been relegated. But that doesn't always seem to be the case at Liverpool. As I've spoke this season, you know, they always seem to struggle against the smaller sides. You know, I don't know what it is. It's a bit like Arsenal, I suppose. They always seem they'll turn up against the big sides. Your Manchester United, your Man City's, your Arsenals. Yeah, brilliant, fantastic, no problem. Sunderland's, your Aston Villas. I'm just going over the years. Your Aston Villas. You know, even Birmingham City, like at home. You know, West Ham, if you like, Middlesbrough. Always seem to drop points. Don't really understand what it is, but they always seem to drop points. That might go in Arsenal's favour. If Arsenal could win on Saturday, and let's just say Liverpool's drop points, they draw, or you know they lose to West Ham, that's going to play a massive advantage in Arsenal's favour. They have Sunderland at home as a game in hand on Tuesday, and then Everton at home on the last game of the season. Yes, Everton would be tough, but I think Arsenal would go for that. So, do you know what I mean? This result tomorrow could play Sunday, if providing Arsenal's won on against Stoke. This could be vital for Arsenal to get into that top four and save Arsene Wenger's arse once again, which I really hope in one way that doesn't happen. I'd love to get into the top four for the future manager to have a go in the Champions League, but if Arsene Wenger's going to be here next season, I don't really want to be in the Champions League because we never seem to compete for it anyway. But I'm just looking at the situation here. That could play into Arsenal's massive hands. You know, if Liverpool do muck up on Sunday, providing Arsenal's beaten Stoke on Tuesday. So for the result, I am actually going to go West Ham 0, Liverpool 0, and I've took that into account. You know, that pressure might be on Liverpool, providing Arsenal's won, and how they all seem to struggle against the small side. So we'll see how that one pans out. And then to finish off the weekend, we have Spurs versus Manchester United at 4:30. Again, yeah. You know, I thought they were awful last week against Arsenal. They've just played Celta Vigo on Thursday. I think they're going to be knackered by the time they come back to England on... Sorry, they played at Old Trafford. Sorry, but I think they'll be knackered by the time they travel to Spurs, is what I meant. By the time they travel to Spurs, I think they'll be knackered by Sunday. So I'm going to go Spurs 3, Manchester United 1. So that includes this weekend's fixtures. The last video next week. I'll do a little bit of review on each team next week, being as though it's the last one. And thank you for your support again throughout the year. And I'll see you next week for the last week's predictions. Thank you for watching, guys.